What is an adult problem you were not prepared for? The utter soul-crushing search for a job. It's entirely possible to lose your job through no fault of your own. Losing people, loved ones passing away is the hardest. Then there's the nasty breakdown of personal relationships, family relationships and friendships. Then there's the sad drifting apart that happens when life takes you on a different path to a person you were once really close to. Realizing that not even your parents have all the answers, and finally understanding that they were just figuring it out as they went, just like we are. Not having an all-knowing figure to give you the answers to all your problems is the pits, and I hate it. Edit. Just wanted to add that I agree figuring stuff out for yourself is rewarding and fun. But some things you really don't want to figure out for yourself. Or can't figure out, and for those things it's nice to have someone to point you in the right direction. Edit. Wholly upvotes Batman 3K. I think this might be my most upvoted comment. The endless teeny tiny implications of adult freedom. You have your own medical insurance plan now. You need to pick a primary care physician. Okay, who should I pick? Up to you. But where should I start? How do I know which doctor to choose? Up to you. How do other people find one? They just pick the one they like. I don't know any of these doctors. Being able to not cook the same meal every day while balancing hundreds of other tasks. I will always admire my mom for how she was able to cook. Have a clean house, work 43 hours and help her children do homework, all while taking time to work out at the end of every day. I could mention other common problems like money management and common tasks that I haven't mastered. But what really hit me like a train was the actual transition of adulthood. I'm talking about having to make my own appointments and having to keep tabs on myself instead of handing every single document to my mom. I realized how unorganized I was when I found my birth certificate in the same drawer where I have junk receipts. Having to institute a complete body hair management program. Ears, eyebrows, nose, chest, balls, ass, then losing it the only place I want it, my head. Pain. Arthritis is freaking horrible, and early onset autoimmune arthritis is worse than just having an ache in one or two joints. I hurt all the time, everywhere, and everyone just assumes you're faking it or you're a pill popper. I am not going to live another 20 years with this pain like my dad did. Not being able to sleep due to stress. Yet here I lay, exhausted but wide awake. When I was younger I could sleep anytime, anywhere. Going from having tons of friends to really having no one. Dealing with your parents acting like children. Having a presentable place, and debating myself on why it matters. It always frustrated me when my parents had a guest over and we had to deep clean the whole house. Like, if it's my close friend of 8 years visiting, why do I care what they care about my cleanliness? And yet, every time people are over I find myself cleaning the apartment up for some reason. How expensive living is. I worked all through high school, but my only bill was the gas I put in my car. 30 hours a week on minimum wage goes a long way on shopping sprees and nail salons when you don't have any other expenses. I developed nasty spending habits. Not the value of a hard-earned dollar my parents were hoping for. I'm not in crippling debt or anything, but sometimes having to spend money on groceries or utilities depresses me more than it rationally should. How often you have to clean to maintain a clean house. Having others rely on you as an emotional ballast. I can barely stay sane myself, let alone carry the weight of someone else's sanity. Back hurting just from sleeping wrong. The constant obsessive feeling that I'm fast running out of time to have an enjoyable life even though I'm only in my 20s. How expensive lamps are. How many adults I actually dislike. When I was younger, I thought my parents liked all our neighbors, all my teachers, all my coaches, etc. I've since found out that they thought most people were morons. Kind of like I do. The lack of time for myself. Life is all work, housework, yard work, child care, bills, emails, phone calls. Falling in love at an older age but watching life speed by so fast. Wished I'd met her 30 years ago. Adults never actually growing up. I lost my wife of 35 years. There is no way to prepare and really no way to describe that loss. Drifting away from school friends because moving away. But then struggling to make new friends in a new city. Edit. Wow. Didn't expect to wake up to karma and awards. Thank you, kind strangers. Sustaining motivation to continue my responsibilities such as money and shelter. In my mind, my mama should be about 40. She has always seemed to be so strong, but sometimes I want to fall apart when I see her take several attempts to stand up or make excuses about driving on the interstate. She will be 70 soon, but to me she is still young. I don't know what I'll ever do without her. The increasing speed of passing years. Having nieces only makes the problem worse. Their age and the perceived number of years past doesn't align at all for me. Turns out, you get fat from overeating. You have to buy insurance but can never use the insurance, or else no one will sell you insurance. Not being able to leave a job you hate because you might just become homeless without it. How quickly fruits and vegetables actually go bad when you buy them yourself. Trying to make friends. No one telling you to stop procrastinating. Realizing some friends are crap tea and you shouldn't be friends with them anymore. Edit. Holy ba jeezus y'all. This blew my inbox the F up. And, thanks for the gold. Just remember, you deserve to be happy, and if people are actively trying to take that away or hinder it, reassess that relationship. You don't need to kill it immediately, but definitely take time to really think about it. Having to have a genuine purpose in life. My job is destroying my mental health, but I need a job so I can pay my bills. If I reduce my hours for better work-life balance, I lose my insurance during a global pandemic. Preparing for retirement. Of course everyone knows they will stop working at some point, but now that I'm 40, it feels like I really need to get it together. Am I going to continue bad habits that negatively impact my health, or will I finally make changes to be healthier later? My new favorite worry, will I really have enough money to retire and live comfortably enough to have a good of quality life? 10 years ago this all seemed so far away. Now, it feels like I'm speeding to the next phase of my life. Gross pay versus net pay. Holy crap. Also, still haven't gotten my first stimulus check. Deciding what to eat for 3 meals a day 7 days a week. Being the mature one. The snowball effect of poverty. Every major bill or unexpected emergency, $500 plus, takes you back 6 months to a year. It feels like you're on an escalator made of mud. Aging parents, pensive face. The amount of family get-togethers you don't want to go to after you get married. When you're not in school surrounded by your peers. Meeting new people and making friends is much harder and in many cases almost impossible. And dating is a whole other ball game. Then again, for a lot of us that isn't too different from how high school was anyway. I have no bloody clue what I'm doing. I surely don't feel like an adult. Being single and childless at 30 doesn't help. Most days, I feel like a kid playing dress up. I wasn't expecting that. Having to be the one who made the call on an ailing elderly pet. In the middle of COVID-19, so I couldn't even be in the freaking room for it. I'm sure it's nothing compared to what people with loved ones who have passed are going through, but frick man. That sucked. Being sued. Dealing with untreated childhood trauma. No one else is going to kill that bug. Woman here, random chin hairs, popped up in late 30s. I feel betrayed. Having disabling illnesses before I was 40. People rely on you, both your parents and your kids. You become the filling in a responsibility sandwich and the weight of it is crushing at times. Getting dumped by someone you've been dating as an adult after months of thinking, you know this one is different. I really think we can make this work. Writing for a friend, of course. Crippling loneliness and romantic rejections. My heart is just dead. And now I feel empty inside. Dealing with people, so stressful. Medical issues and the costs associated with them. I went from a late 20s guy with no issues other than the occasional cavity to a late 30s guy with spondylolysis. OSA, anxiety, RLS, and hypertension in under 10 years. It's crazy that I am taking medications and trying to improve my health because my doctor said I could die in 20 years if I don't shape up. Seriously, I just want to drink beer, play guitar, hang out with the missus and maybe smoke some weed now and then, but these last years have hit me like a ton of bricks. And from what I understand it keeps getting worse. How freaking dark life actually is. Like, is this all we do? Just grind away at jobs we try to care about, but no one else cares about. Barely able to afford our bills, houses, debts, constantly struggling with relationships and trauma, and watching our political system fail us. Our country fail us. Our systems fail us. Like, this life is not what happy adolescent me dreamed it would be. Sorry to get real dark on y'all. Cliques and bullies are just as bad in the office as they were in school. Having my daughter diagnosed with a brain tumor. There was no way to ever prepare for that. Edit. Thank you everyone for the kind words. Her diagnosis was almost 5 years ago, and she is doing fantastic now. I'll give a little backstory to answer some questions. She was 5 years old when she was diagnosed with an optic nerve glioma, or a tumor on her optic nerve, and had fully lost all vision in her left eye by the time it was discovered. She had absolutely no symptoms at all that we were able to see. I was a stay-at-home mom at the time and she wasn't falling, tripping, getting lightheaded, headaches, nothing. How we found out what was her dad and I were doing a craft with her and she made a pirate periscope out of a paper towel roll. When she held it up to her one eye she said she couldn't see anything. After us covering her eye and asking questions, we believed her. What sealed it for us was when we covered her other eye and shined a flashlight into the bad eye. Instead of her pupil restricting in response, it dilated to almost the entire size of her iris. We panicked, naturally, and took her to the ER. Within 30 minutes she and I were in a helicopter heading to a large city children's specialty hospital, with my husband driving to meet us there. She had the symptom of a TBI, traumatic brain injury, and that was outside the realm of what our small local Band-Aid hospital could even begin to handle. We arrived about an hour and a half before my husband, and had all testing done when he came in. We had an answer, an optic nerve glioma that has atrophied her optic nerve, and the grape-sized tumor was starting to push out her eye. Externally there were no visual symptoms. Then we met with a neurologist, neurosurgeon, and neuro-oncologist. We were given options, and decided to go with a combination of 2 different chemo drugs. One that is commonly used with that type of tumor. The other had just come out of clinical trials and was showing some success at restoring vision. She did 12 months of every other week chemo and handled it like a champion. The blood supply to the tumor was killed and it reduced in size by about half. She is still totally blind in that eye, but you cannot tell by looking at or watching her. She's a straight A student, plays sports, and is an extremely talented artist. We still have to see half a dozen ologists, neurologist, neuro-oncologist, oncologist, endocrinologist, ophthalmologist etc., but is thriving and happy.